everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So, being a visa issuer must be hard work and stressful at that. You have to sit in a comfortable chair, sometimes in a booth for a few hours, and you have to look at boring people's ugly passport photos, and then you have to put a very adorable little stamp on the whole thing, and then you're done. It is no wonder why so many visa issuers die young. But this time we're going to take a look at what happens when one of them had enough and went rogue. This is Survivor. Played by Milla Jovovich. She works at the American Embassy in London, and she takes a very special interest at a doctor who is going to fly from the UK to America. But she doesn't get any backup from her boss, played by Ben Forster. She's sort of told to drop the whole thing. Instead, they're going to celebrate a birthday at a pub and stuff like that. They're trying to enjoy themselves and enjoying the pressed duck and stuff like that. But the pressed duck says nope, and the entire pub goes kaboom. But Milla Jovovich survives. The problem is that somebody's after her. This somebody is apparently linked a little bit to this doctor, played by Pierce Brosnan, who has constructed some kind of a device. What does this have to do with anything? We shall see, because Milla Jovovich is now in the run in London, chased by the cops, chased by the bad guys, and by Pierce Brosnan himself. What is going to happen? That is what this movie is basically about. It is essentially Milla Jovovich is accused of a crime that she hasn't committed, and she flees and tries to figure out what is going on and tries to stop the bad guys from conducting their evil plan and stuff like that. Pretty basic stuff. Basic but effective. Now this movie hooked me, not right away, but pretty fast. I was totally immersed into the story. This movie had some kind of frenetic energy to itself that made it rose above other movies with a similar story. I don't know how much we can thank James Manteghi, who directed this movie, one of Hollywood's low-key best directors of all time. Just look at his fucking track records. That one's awesome. That one's awesome. That one's awesome. So some praise should be put upon him. Milla Jovovich isn't the greatest actress of all time, but she kind of pulled this one off pretty well. And I think that Pierce Brosnan has carved out a very good little, run for himself in the 2010s. And his mysterious bad guy is a quite compelling villain. And this movie is compact enough and it is short enough that you don't question some of the, loopholes that may or may not occur in this movie. And I mostly stayed in this movie because how unpredictable it was and what a drive this movie had. And it had a lot of very fun and interesting side characters. Unfortunately for this movie, the third act wasn't the strongest bit of the movie, because we lost the, what is going to happen bit of the movie. And we also lost quite a lot of our fun and compelling side characters for a more traditional and by the numbers ending. But it still came across as a far better and more compelling movie than I expected it to. So if you like this type of character being framed for a movie that he or her didn't commit and tries to solve whatever is going on here, you can find much worse movies than this one. You can find better movies also, but this one is quite good actually. But these type of characters in this type of movie have a tendency of suffering two things that always makes me a little bit annoyed. And that is that something always happens to them, some kind of contrived things that make them look even more guilty. And I always think, you're adding a hat on a hat. You don't need to add, this second thing that, makes them look even more guilty and stuff like that. Don't do that. And second, why doesn't anybody ever put on a fucking disguise? Wear a wig. Have a beard, unless you're Milla Jovovich, then don't have a beard maybe, but change your hair color, cut your hair, shave your head, do fucking something. In Days of Our Life, there was an episode where one character disguised himself by putting on sunglasses and a baseball cap, and nobody recognized him. Even though that was stupid, at least he, tried to disguise his, appearance somewhat. Wear a fucking disguise if you are on the run from the London police. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that doesn't take away from the fact that this movie is quite fun, fast-paced, and has a kind of interesting story that you're tagging along with until the very end, which was decent but not as good as it could have been. Mila Jovovich is more than acceptable in this movie. Pierce Brosnan is good in this movie. This is a well-made movie with a pretty damn excellent electronic soundtrack, which I think gave this movie its own identity. I give Survivor 66 points. It is a by-the-numbers thriller, but it has more suspense, better produced, and is more well-written than these movies usually are. So I recommend this movie. It isn't fantastic, but it's pretty damn good. So I'll see you next time for Well So and So reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.